What's up, guys? My name's Jay Perrin here, ex-UFC vet, MMA vet, all types of shit. I'm here with you with the Last Laugh podcast, episode 1. And normally I would take more time to really set this up, and I've been going through meticulous steps to make sure I'm doing this correctly. Um, so pardon me if I kind of scrambled this one episode together. It's more we have such a good card coming up for the UFC. I really just wanted to take some time and give you some notes that I have. um I just break down this card with you guys because there really are so many good matchups here. And so before the fight happens, obviously tomorrow, um I'd really just like to go over a lot of these and really show you, just how good the matchups are and where, these things and the implications for some of these people, from my perspective, from somebody that's fought and been there. And I have trained with a lot of these people as well. So I have an insight and I know what it's like to be in the gym with these people and these spectacular fighters. So UFC 287 tomorrow. Here's my preview, Last Laugh episode with Jay Perrin, episode 1. Let's just get right into it. All right. So the first card I was going to do, we were just going to do the main card at first, but there's a couple of prelim cards, matchups, pardon me, which shouldn't be prelim matchups, if I'm honest, but, it is what it is, and that's how it is. The first one being, that could easily be a main card fight, is Cynthia Cavillo versus Izzy-Pereira. This is a good one. This is a great women's fight right here. Just fight in general. I have trained with Cynthia for over a year. I've had the pleasure of sharing a gym with Loopy a couple of times. Both fantastic people and wonderful ladies. Both of these women match up almost the same. They have very, very good styles. Match up really well here. Cynthia, let's just start into her. When Cynthia is aggressive, she is an incredibly scrappy lady. When I remember the first time I ever sparred Cynthia, she hit me with the sweet chin music. I can't even. That's exactly what she did. She hit me with the Shawn Michaels in the first round. I think it was the first 30 seconds she ever met me. She hit me with sweet chin music. Um, she's incredibly scrappy, but it's tactical aggression. She knows what she's doing. She's putting you where she wants to, and that's how she should be fighting. She's been less aggressive of late, but when she's on her bike, constantly pushing forward, she makes it a scrap, man. And even against me, I'm a grown man. I'm 20 pounds bigger than her on a good day, and she would beat me up some days. I'd have to be on my p's and q's, otherwise Cynthia would beat the hell out of me. Um, you know, very well rounded. Obviously her striking is very good. She's got great kicks. I don't really expect to see a lot of kicks from Cynthia in this, given that Loopy is such a good wrestler. And I can see her, catching one of those early. Maybe if she throw kicks, it'll be in the later rounds. But against somebody like Loopy, I wouldn't throw kicks in the first, few. That doesn't make sense. Or just while you guys are feeling each other out. But who knows? Um, Very, very well rounded. Her striking is very crisp. She's been working with Jorge Capatillo, um, you know, trainer of the stars right now. There's so many great, great athletes. Brendan Moreno, um, so many. Rojo just came off of Pippo Rojo just came off a big knockout victory over there. You see a lot of good fighters coming out of that camp right now, and Cynthia being one of them. I had the pleasure of going over there and working there a couple of times, and what they're doing is real. It's hard work over there. They got a good stable of fighters, and obviously her boxing will be very much on point. I fully believe that. Um, but what she doesn't display as much recently as her wrestling. Her wrestling is very good. She's quick. Her shot entries are very fast off her strikes, when she sets them up. All these skills that Cynthia have are the perfect antithesis to Loopy's attack. And basically, they both want to do the same thing. Loopy's very good in the pocket. Great wrestler, awesome wrestler. And she'll stick to you like a wet blanket. Both of these women have good wrestling pedigrees with great striking. I think the difference between the winner of this fight will be who initiates more, who goes first. Because um, Cynthia, when she's less aggressive and she's trying to be a little bit more tactical, hasn't had as much success. But when she makes it a dog fight. She finds her finish, or she finds a way to dominate. Loopy's kind of the same way. She'll sit in the pocket, wait for her approach. Um, shoot right in on you, and if she can get your back, she's gonna take it, and she's gonna, oh my god, she's gonna smother you until you can't breathe. Um, I think the key to this fight, is who can win the takedown battle. If Loopy shoots in and Cynthia can stuff the first 2 or 3, that might be a different thing because I would say they're about evenly matched on the feet. Loopy's got good power in her hands. I would say Cynthia's more of an accumulation puncher, if that makes sense. She's more of a volume um, type person, maybe not like a one punch knockout, but she'll sting you after 4, and then she's real fast with the 4. Is the kind of what I mean. But both will stand there and trade. I don't want to see Cynthia on the back foot. She's done that in a few of her last fights, and against Luby, that's kind of what she wants as the wrestler. Wrestlers move forward. They go forward. They push and they push and they push, and they're not really good at going backwards. So I'd really like to see both women, or not like to see. Everybody would like to see that. Both women going to meet in the center of the cage, and I think that it really matters as to who's going to back up more. And I know that seems kind of obvious, but both of these women at their best are pushing forward the whole time. I'd like to see better head movement from both women. If I'm honest, they're very, very hittable. But I really expect that's a very entertaining prelim scrap that could go really either way. Loopy's got the momentum. She's coming off a bunch of good wins, and Cynthia's coming off a few losses, and she hasn't, had as much success. So, look, Cynthia's gonna have the motivation to try to get back into that win column, because the UFC's pretty stringent about winning these days, and job security is what it's about. And Loopy's just trying to keep the train going. She's definitely a contender in the future. Either whether she wins or loses this fight, I really don't think matters as far as her stock. You know what I mean? Because she's got so much time. You know what I mean? There's just so much time for her to develop and become better. So win or lose, I think Loopy will be great. I think Cynthia's as far as position goes, I think that she's got a little bit more motivation there. But both of these women want to be world champion, and I really do have a lot of respect for both of them. They're definitely warriors, and both of them have definitely beat me up before. So that's a good one to start the card. Well, not really to start the card. It's the first matchup we're going to go over today. All right, so moving on. Here's one, and I'm going to be as objective as I can. I promise. I promise I'll be here because Chris Curtis versus Calvin Gastelum. Chris is one of my closest friends in the world. I'll say that just outright, and actually Kelvin is one of the sweetest people I've actually ever met. My friends actually call me if Kelvin is Blastoise, then I am Squirtle. That's how if we stand next to each other, that's kind of how it looks. So both men have always been really good to me. Chris is one of my closest friends. This is a great fight, and I don't understand. Maybe I understand the concept of the main prelim is because it gets more eyes for people to watch the pay-per-view. So from a promoter's perspective, it makes sense that they would put this kind of fight on the prelim. Does that mean that these two particular people should be on the main prelim? No, I disagree. This is a main card fight. I don't care what you say. You could put Loopy and Cynthia at the main prelim. That's a main prelim type. Get you interested because that's going to be a barn burner. But like Chris is on a tear. Kevin's been a top 10 middleweight wherever he's been forever now. You know what I mean? And I get that it'll bring more eyes to the pay-per-view, but you're going to tell me that these two will go over it. And people are just going to call me a hater. And that's fine. But I just don't understand how this matchup particularly isn't on the main card of a pay-per-view. That's just my own opinion. Anyway, moving on. Chris Curtis versus Kelvin Gastelum. Both left-handed, both short, stocky guys. They're both shaped like a box. If you look at them, they're very sturdy like this. Both have power in their hands. Great strikers. Very, very well-rounded. Chris has the current stat. I believe it's current. He has almost 30 consecutive takedown stuff. I think he has 100% takedown defense rating in this 185 division. Which is something that doesn't really get talked about a lot, is takedown defense and how it should be scored. And to be honest, anything about scoring right now doesn't matter because no one knows what they're looking at, even the judges. But I do think it should be something that should be considered when you're looking at matchups here. How hard is it to get this guy to the ground? And training with Chris and knowing Chris for a while, he always used to say to me, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu doesn't mean anything if you can't get me to the ground. And that's so far proven very, very true for him. I don't know the exact number. I don't have the number right on me, but I think it's close to 30 takedowns he's stuffed in the time that he's been in the UFC. So, that's definitely something that's going to factor in. He's very difficult to get down. If you watch closely in a lot of Chris's fights, he's obviously a proficient boxer, and that's, you don't see him throw kicks. If he throws kicks, I guarantee you it's one a fight, and that's it. That's all he's got. He's only got one kick a fight. That's all his athleticism allows him to have. Chris is all work, and he's had to earn every bit of talent he's got. So if you think he's putting a high kick up there more than 3 times, you're crazy. But he's very heavy on his boxing, and if you've noticed when he does take damage, he doesn't. He rolls it really well off of his shoulders. He's never really cut. He's never bruised or really hurt. It's because if you noticed when he is taking things, most of the shots he takes rolls off of his shoulders. So he's very, very good in the pocket, slipping and countering from there. He's got impeccable body work. If you've noticed his left rear uppercut, he hits it like Donkey Kong and Super Smash Bros. Whips it back around, but it lands on the solar plex every single time. And in this fight, I think body work is really going to matter for Chris. He's gotta be aggressive and keep his composure. Obviously, with the the Joker thing. Thanks for taking my name. With that fight, he got frustrated because Jack was using his footwork to move back and forth laterally, and he wouldn't stand there and trade with him. And as much as I feel for my friend, it's true, you have to figure out a way to cut that off. And he didn't, and he lost his composure a little bit. And that's the name of the game. Sometimes it happens. That can't all be gems. Sometimes you're going to get frustrated in there because you want to sit there and have a good show for the fans. But in that, he needs less of that. He needs to keep his composure, which he's normally very good at in a fight, and he enjoys the fight. So as long as he keeps enjoying the fight, he'll do him. And the body work is going to be really, really important here because our friend Kelvin has always been known to have a questionable gas tank. Now, he's had a few good performances here and there where he's not here and there. Let me say that. As far as cardio goes, he's had great performances where he lasts 5 rounds with Izzy. He's going to live on that hill forever. Why wouldn't he? That's a great fight. It's an amazing fight. He made Izzy say, "I'm prepared to die today." Anybody that's prepared to die right there is close to it, So, Kelvin can have his flowers there, but he is known to have weight issues. He's known to gas. And I think that if he doesn't utilize all aspects of his game in this, it just goes into a boxing match with Chris, he's going to be outmatched here. Not to say that Kelvin doesn't have good hands. It's just that he's more of he's an MMA fighter. He's not a boxer. And I'm not saying that Chris isn't an MMA fighter either. So before you say that, just bear with me. Kelvin more often than not demonstrates those tools in an offensive manner more than Chris. We know what Chris wants to do. Chris is good at keeping you upstairs and beating the hell out of you. He's going to hit you to the solar plex and he's going to come back upstairs with a straight left. He does it a lot all the time. He's very, very good at it. We know what he wants to do. He uses his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu defensively because that's what he's good at, so why wouldn't he? They just use it different. Kelvin is known to shoot. Chris isn't. And so I think that if Kelvin can somehow figure out a way to keep Chris guessing on the level changes and go head body and maybe use the boxer's approach while mixing in some shots and keep Chris guessing off his back foot, then maybe you have a chance of affecting this. But standing in the pocket, both men have power. I'm not saying that Kelvin doesn't have an opportunity to knock Chris out. That's just silly. He's one of the best fighters in the world. I do believe that Chris is more dangerous in the pocket. I do believe that. He's just a little cleaner with his technique and his short punches because he's used to this. He's got the Philly shell thing going. They got right here, and he's good at rolling and coming up the middle and coming back and doing all with the shoulder rolling, and it's just the style is better for that. And I don't think Kelvin is as clean technically with his boxing as he is. He's more of a jack of all trades than he is a pure technician as far as one specific thing. And that's not a bad thing. It's just this is how the style of the fight is. And he needs to play to that. He needs to know that he's a jack of all trades, because you're not going to get into a slugfest with Chris Curtis and it's going to come out okay. It's going to be very hard to do. And it's very few people have really finished him like that. That's it. That's pretty much that's the story of the fight for this. I really do think that these men are very, very evenly matched. I know that Kelvin has been working at Fight Ready with Henry Cejudo, so maybe, just maybe, we do see a lot more wrestling from him, and we'll see him mixing it in and try and keep Chris guessing. But I just don't see how a boxing match with Chris Curtis, at range in the pocket, seems like a good idea for most people. You know what I mean? I just don't think that's just not a good idea. That's the one place he wants to sit and lie, and for Chris as well, he's got to push the action. He can't let Kelvin dictate the pace. Pardon me for the stutter, because as soon as he starts backing up, Kelvin's got the advantage, and he's got to plant his feet and go forward and keep his composure when things don't go his way. But I really do think that that's a sleeper fight of the night. That's one of my fight night candidates because, again, very evenly matched and big implications for this fight for both people. Kelvin is 1-5, 1-4, pardon me, 1-4 in his last 5. And that's tough in today's UFC. That's really tough to be considered a top 10 guy, to be considered a top 15 guy at that point, to go 1-5 in your last 6. And this coming from a guy that went 0-3. I totally understand the position I'm in. And I think that Kelvin should too. That's a powerful motivator, man, because your back's against the wall here. If 1-5 does not look good, 2-4, that's salvageable. You get what I'm saying? 2-4 is a little bit more salvageable as far as negotiating and going into another contract negotiation. You know what I mean? When your contract's up, you go back to the UFC. You're like, hey, here's how I performed under this, and 2-4 sounds way better than 1-5. And on the other end, Chris has been trying to knock on that top 10 spot for a long time now. And this is a guy that has fought for the title, has fought Izzy at the very top. He's climbed the mountain and gotten damn near close to finishing it, and he's always been a competitor in every fight. There's never been a guy that's just dogged Kelvin Gastelum out. Not from my off the top recollection. And if you can figure it out, you can tell me. But I don't know anybody that really just crushed, just rolled through Kelvin Gastelum. And then and again, I could be wrong, but it's if it happened a long time ago. Yeah, so I think that a win for Chris puts him at, this guy was a title contender. This is again at that negotiating table. They're both winning for that next conversation to happen. I want to be a top 10. He wants that number next to his name. He's been saying it for a long time. Kelvin is trying to stay where he's at, and that's the best he's going to get with 2-4, is staying where he's at and proving that he can still compete with top level people. So I think that big implications for both of those guys, and I think that it'll definitely be one of the more exciting fights of the night. Okay, moving on, and we all wanted to talk about it. You knew I was going to say it. You knew I was going to do it. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Christian Rodriguez. Guys, I'm not bitter. Raul obviously is coming off a win off of me. Yours truly did a great job. I got nothing to say. He shut me up. I said the wrong thing. I ate my words, and flowers to him. He did a great job, and I made the one mistake I shouldn't have. And we can even, one day I'll break it down for you how it happened and how he executed on his position, and it was beautiful grappling and great jiu-jitsu, and I got nothing but love for him, and I hope that he continues to have a successful career, but he's got up against a really, really big hill here in Christian Rodriguez. I just have to say that, and I think that the hype around Raul really, really blinds people to how good his opponent is. And I'm not trying. In any way. I'm not going to. I'm going to be completely objective about this matchup here and where they stack up. Okay, we're gonna go with Raul right off the bat. Okay, Raul is a specialist. Obviously, he's a jits guy. He's gonna get down. He's gonna. If you get to the floor, Raul's world is most likely what's gonna happen. He's constantly pushing forward for that, and his striking. Let me just say this. Raul knows what he wants to do. You know what Raul is going to do, right? And it's just about how you implement him stopping from doing it, right? And I tried to get into a boxing match, got too heavy on my front foot, and he took the single. That's how it works, right? His striking is underdeveloped, but he's not a striker. And I think people need to get out of that. He's trying to win he's going to try and take your back and sub you. That's what he's going to try and do. Everybody knows that. So his striking doesn't have to be super clean for him to be effective, as he's shown. So I'm not saying that he can't be better. He should get better. I'll give you, for example, another fighter that we'll talk about in a little bit, Gilbert, right? Gilbert is a high-level grappler. If anything, he's a better grappler than he is a striker, right? As far as, pure martial art, right? So, but the thing about Gilbert and why he has so many knockouts is because he's not afraid of going down to the ground. He's not afraid of engaging and having somebody shoot on him because he knows that as soon as it hits the ground, it doesn't matter. So I really hope, and I don't know. So, but for that example, I don't know. But I hope that Raul kind of takes to that and goes that I am so good on the ground that all I should focus on is just my hands for a little while. I'm talking like 9 months. Obviously keep both tools sharp, but your main focus is being able to be competent on your feet. He shot against me because that wasn't going to be the case. I was a striker and he was a grappler, and that's what he did, and that's how he won. But he wouldn't have won a striking match. And this is mixed martial arts. Eventually, someone's going to be as good as you somewhere, or better. And the thing about him is, and again, he's 18 years old. The sky is the limit for this kid. He can lose 15 times in a row right now, and it wouldn't matter because he's 18. He's got 15 more years. Well, I don't know about 15 if you've ever heard him talk, but you get what I'm saying. He's so young that he has such a ceiling that it doesn't matter. I think that he should just have taken 6-7 months to develop his hands. Just pure hands. Doesn't have to be Muay Thai, just anything like that. And don't concern yourself with getting taken down, because you're a sub wizard. So going in and transitioning into what I think that Raul should do is what Christian Rodriguez is. Christian Rodriguez is good everywhere, man. This kid is sharp on his feet. So he's pretty. I've been watching videos of this kid for a few days now, and wow, he is sharp on his feet, and he mixes in his wrestling, real good body lock trips, and he's always looking for a finish. He can finish you literally anywhere. This kid is good, and it's certainly a big test for Raul as far as where he should stand and his prowess. And again, I know Raul has said that he wants to be a champion inside a year, and I really do think that that's feasible, but probably not going to happen at the pace that he's going. But this is a good measuring stick for Raul, a huge measuring stick. He's got a good win over me, and you know what, man? Whatever you say, I'm tough to beat. I don't care what you say. Okay, I made it there. I'm tough to beat. Christian Rodriguez is going to push this kid. And I'm not saying that I'm rooting for Raul to lose. I'm not. But I would like him to win 100 times more. I want become the champion, please. Like Mario Batista. I got a whole flag, Mario. um, but I do think that this is an opponent that he really should take seriously. That's how I see it. If he hasn't, he maybe didn't take me seriously. Whatever, that came out all right for him. But I don't think this is a kid you can sleep on. And I think that Christian Rodriguez is another prospect that either one of these kids is going to move on to be something cool. You know what I mean? To be something great. And I think that it'll be a really good spectacle. This is the by the way, this is the fight particularly to me that shouldn't be on the main card. And I'm again, you're gonna call me a hater and whatever, dude. But this could have been the main prelim fight. This could have been it. Do you know what I mean? And I get that it's an entertainment business, and I get why the UFC is doing the way that they're doing it, and I get all of that. But there are legitimate martial artists who have, and I'm not calling these prospects not that, okay? But there are people that have been here longer, and there have been people that have been working their way up that have not gotten the same kind of treatment that you've extended some of your prospects. And at a certain point, it's got to be about merit. If championships aren't about it, then do you know what I mean? Like at what point does how much work you're doing matter? And I think that's the point of the people that are on the prelims that believe that this isn't fair. And I agree with it a little bit. I agree with it. Who's Raul beat? Me? Come on. And again, I'm not trying to say that these kids don't deserve their spotlight. I don't care. I don't believe that that's true either. I believe that both of them deserve it. Absolutely. And the main feature prelim is exactly for that. It's exactly for all of the eyes. I get you're trying to make another superstar in Mexico. I get that you're trying to do that with Raul. I totally get it. But Gastelum and Curtis should have been on the main card. Cynthia and Lupi should have been in the main card. One of those, either, you know what I mean, over this. Two of those people from two of those matchups fought for championships at one point. And one of the other one, the others will fight for champions. Do you know what I'm saying? There's like title implications for both of these other matchups. This is just a prospect fight. Do you get why people would be mad? It's not hating. It's just people have earned their stripes, and not to say that Raul has not earned it yet, but not in the UFC. Man, you got one win. You know what I mean? You got one win against an unranked opponent. You know what I mean? So like, I get where they're coming from, and I don't think it's smart of Raul to rub it in their face either, because these are your peers. So, I disagree with it being on there, but. That having been said, I don't know who's going to win this. I really don't. I'm going to give it to Christian. He's a lot sharper on his feet, and I really do believe that he's going to be able to stop Raul. Not to say that I don't want Raul to win, but my insight on this is that I've rolled Raul. He's strong. He's not outmatched on the feet here. He really is. And if Christian can even stuff 2 or 3 of those takedowns. That's not good, man. That's not good, especially up top. So I'm going to take Christian here. But I think it's really a styles matchup. I just think that Christian's more well-rounded and had, going back to what I said about Raul before, and I could be wrong. He could totally have done what I'm saying that he should do. I could be wrong. I have no idea. But I do think that that's something that he should be doing. Is focusing on his hands and how to put that together with his amazing grappling, because the person he's fighting has certainly done that, and it's going to make for a good fight. Not a main card fight, but a good fight. Okay, moving on. We're going to get through these next couple ones pretty fast. Ooh, I'm excited about the next couple. Kevin Holland and Santiago Ponzinibbio. I don't got much for this. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't got much for this. Big mouth, always entertaining. I've met him a few times. Cool dude. Definitely trying to get back in the win column. He's definitely made it appear that he's more of an entertainer. That he cares about ranking and competition, which is always good. But when you're on a skid, you need to change that mindset up a little bit, and you need to rattle off a win. So I will give him his flowers. He definitely looked great against Wonder Boy to begin, and I do believe that if his hand hadn't broken early in that fight, he would have definitely done better. I think that was a big part of why his performance was lacking at one point. Because I don't know if you've ever broken your hand in a fight. I have, and it's not fun. You feel that. Let you know. You feel that. That hurts. So hopefully, the hand healed up really well, and we get to see him do this. He definitely wants to keep Ponzinibbio at range. Definitely great, real good at his length. Great striking, obviously. Just like I said, he was beating up Wonder Boy for at least a round. Wonder Boy's a world champion kickboxer, several times over. So his hands are great, and they're definitely something worthy of note. He can't get into clinch work or get into the close range with Ponzinibbio because unlike Ponzinibbio, he didn't have the bombs, and all of his power comes at the length. It's like leverage. It comes at the length of his arms. So he really wants to keep Ponzinibbio away from him, and I expect that he does. But should he not, guess what, guys? He's a black belt, right? That's what I said. Yeah, he's a black belt. I know. Who'd have thunk? And that's kind of the problem, isn't it? Because he's been on his back a few times, and Jacare, right? Was it Jacare? I believe it was Jacare with the hammer, with the elbows and stuff like that. You know, um, you're a black belt, man. Why are you on your back? Why are you just holding position? You know what I mean? And I would just like to see that more. Because I met him. He was with a gi black belt, and I went, word? Oh, okay. Because I've never seen anything like that from you. And I guess that's disappointing because if you're a black belt, I would expect you at least know how to not stay flat in your back and try and get up or make a sweep but I would like to see that from Kevin Holland because Ponzinibbio for sure, a dark horse in this division. Definitely somebody that is dangerous for anybody. Guys had barn burners. You know what I mean? Guys had bangers of fights for a while now. Uh, Power in both hands. He's got that bang bang in both left and right, and he's gonna try and close range on Kevin and hit him with a big overhand or a hook that's basically gonna be the game plan. I feel like unless Kevin's been working on crazy amounts of wrestling, I think that Positivity is gonna be able to get him to the ground, and from there we'll see what happens. I'm not really sure what Ponzinibbio's grappling acumen is. To be completely honest, I know that he's got decent wrestling, um, but it's basically this is a story everybody can really tell looking at it. Am I right? You know, long, tall guy, good at striking. Short, stocky guy, big bombs. Whoever wins the distance battle is really going to win here. So I'm going to give it a Pons. You know, I just think that the style, how he can make it more of a dogfight. Maybe I'm leaning towards them a little bit more, but guys, there's so much tactic to MMA, but one tactic really is sometimes you just gotta have a little bit of a dog in you. When all else fails, you gotta bite down your mouthpiece and have the dog in you. And not to say that Kevin doesn't, but Ponzi's is bigger than his. That's my assessment of that fight. Moving on. Oh yeah, here we go. This is the one. I've been waiting for this one for a while. For a while. Big fan of both of these guys. Adrian Yanez versus Rob Font. This is going to be a boxing clinic, like an absolute boxing clinic. Both of these men are boxers and they use it differently. And that's the thing. It's going to be two styles of boxing for MMA that are both wonderful to watch in their own right. But when they clash, it's really going to be something to see. Rob is so good with it. He's so long with his hands. If you notice, he keeps his hands real high up, like this, deceptively long, very long with his reach. I worked with him for a few years. He's definitely deceptive with his range and great with his straight punching and loves to hit engage the clinch as he comes forward. Few good knockouts, definitely knockout power in both hands, but he's more of an accumulation guy. He'll give you one good one. His uppercuts are something incredible. Yeah, I don't know where he brings them from. His shoes all the way up there, like Sayukin, hits him real hard as he comes up there, and it's proven pretty effective for him over the years. Well rounded. He really does hide his hands and feet together, but obviously he's more of a boxer. He's coming off a few good wars, you know. Definitely trying to get back into the win column here and trying to maintain a top 10 or a top 5 spot. Let me look that up real quick. Top 5 spot. Top 10 spot, pardon me. Top 10 spot. So he's number 6, going against number 12 here. Adrian trying to break that top 10. I think that he's definitely a top 10 candidate. This is definitely a big step up in competition for him, though. Not to say that his last performances haven't been fantastic and beautifully done, but Rob is a perennial top 5, top 6 guy. This is definitely, if you want to get into the top 5 of this division, going through Rob Font is definitely not a simple task. That's not a thing that's gonna come lightly. Because if you're not on your P's and Q's, he will beat the absolute tar off of you, up and down. If he smells weakness, I'll give him that. When he knows that you're hurt, he's gonna hurt you, and that's what he wants to do. That's what he's there for. Both of these men are very, don't get it twisted. Adrian seems to hit with a lot worse intent. I'll give him that. And it's the way that he delivers his punches. But Rob is all the more nasty, or all the same nasty. So they're both trying to hurt each other when they get in there. Adrian is so clean. I think he's got the cleanest pure boxing style in MMA currently. And that's fine if you disagree. But his in and out movement, the way that he snaps his shoulders over, the way he moves in general is just pure boxing. It's just pure boxing with small gloves. He's very, very good. He's very accurate. And he doesn't throw all of his power into every shot, but he definitely hits you with some stiff ones that sets up his long combinations. So both of these men, great combination work. I would say that the speed advantage definitely goes to Adrian's a little quicker with his hands. Another fight that kind of determines who gets past whose range and who's taking the back foot. Adrian really does a good job of, with his footwork, getting you backed up against the cage. That's what he wants. He's, again, like a boxing style. Plot them to the corner, keep them in the corner, and then start unloading. And he's done that how many times? It's like countless. Rob would like to keep him at the edge of that. And it's really going to be the story of that, is how well does Rob dictate his space, as well as how does Adrian counter that and close the distance with his footwork and his combination work. Body work's going to be important here. I think so. Again, another one where Rob's fighting to stay in his spot, and Adrian's trying to improve his life and his stock by coming up into the top 10, and beating the number 6 guy is definitely a good way to do it. So I think that big motivation, motivation all the way through, just as a person, it's just like, if the card is just filled with that, even the next two are just situations like that, where you've got guys that are down on their luck, or on skids, versus up and comers, or people that are on these crazy streaks that seem nigh unstoppable. And this is just one of them, and I think that these guys are very, very evenly skilled, but in different ways. They use their approach very, very differently. And I'm excited for that one, man. Rob Font and Adrian Yanez, that's the fight of the night for me. I'm watching for that. Not to say that none of them else could be. I could be completely wrong, but that one's going to be crazy. Honestly, we're getting a finish there. I don't think that's going all three. I don't think that's going all three. I have no idea who's going to win that fight, to be completely honest with you. I think it's just who initiates their game a little bit better and dictates their space. I am a big fan of both of these guys, and I've known Ron for a good while. And me and Adrian have had good conversation. And he's so clean, man. That guy is clean as hell, and he's just so fun to watch because, as a kid that grew up with boxing myself, he boxes like I'd like to. I want to box like him, and when I train, I try and think of Adrian Yanez's hands, because they're just crazy good, So that's definitely the one that I'm gonna be paying attention to the most of all the main card ones. Moving on. Not last. Pardon me. We got 2 more, and then we'll close up, and then we'll just call it there. And then, from here, obviously, things will go a little bit different. But moving on to our co-main event of the evening. It's Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal. Afro Gilbert has returned. And, like an new unlocked character in a video game, he has a new set of powers that we are not aware of quite yet. Let me just say, Gilbert Burns is a monster. You know what I mean? Multiple time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion, a title contender at 170 for a long time. This man's the boogeyman at 170. Really, if you really think about it, nobody wants to fight Gilbert. Nobody wants to fight Gilbert. That's not the person you pick out of the lineup for anybody. You just don't. You don't pick Gilbert. Why would you? You know what I mean? Like, let's just read. He's got 2 less knockouts than he's got submissions. He's got 11 first-round finishes. This is a guy. He'll kill you anywhere. He really can. How Hamzat got through that, I'm not really sure. Knockout power in both hands. He can do it all, and he does it really well. And this is a guy that has those knockouts. Going back to what I said about Raul, Gilbert doesn't care if you take him down. He doesn't. He'll let you. He'll let you take him down because he knows what's going to happen if he gets down there. He's going to rip your arm off. He's taking something home with him. Denzel said, "I'm from around the way. I'm leaving here with something." That's Gilbert. That's Afro Gilbert. And this guy is just, I can't say enough about the guy. You know what I mean? This is a tall task for quite literally anybody. Anybody. It's not even a knock on Jorge in any regard, regardless of what I say further here. Gilbert is a monster, and like, that's just the only way it can be explained. He can finish the fight anywhere at any time in any regard he wishes, so definitely a huge mountain to climb for Jorge. Jorge recently, I just want to go over that, stated that if he loses, he'll likely retire. And a lot of people say that has nothing to do with the fight. That has everything to do with the fight, man. Anybody that talks like that is already 1 foot out the door. And that's like a built-in excuse as to why you can lose and it's cool and then you can ride off into the sunset. That doesn't sound good for him, man. You shouldn't be saying stuff like that. If you really, like, I've never met a competitive person that was talking about retirement right away. I like that was locked in. I just haven't, and I just don't think that's a good look. A couple days out from your fight, you're talking about, if I can't beat Gilbert, if I lose and if I do this, that's a lot from you, man. And I think that speaks volumes as to where Jorge's at in his mind right now. And I hope he proves me wrong, but anybody that talks like that is 1 foot out the door. And you can ask anybody in the business that's been around the business. If you're not all in, man, if the word retirement starts to come out of your head with a cool mind and a long break, then maybe it's time. But hopefully I'm wrong. That's really not a mindset for somebody that's in his position, especially somebody that's been finished and hasn't won a fight in quite a while. Quite a while. And going against a guy who I just described as the 170 boogeyman, if I'm honest. The only, he really needs to keep this on the feet. Just beyond the mentality thing, he can't let this go to the ground. He can't. He just can't. It's like Usman. You can't let Usman get you down. It's the same idea. Gilbert is the same. Like, the only person that could offset Gilbert's grappling in that division right now is Usman. And I could be wrong that because he looks very human recently. But moving on, Jorge cannot afford to let this go to the ground. He just can't. It's just, the prowess isn't there. And unless you've been working on takedown defense, man, I just don't see it. So you really need to keep this on the feet and find a way to goad him or tug at his ego or what have you. Because as much of a monster as Gilbert is, he can get played into situations he should. Instead of playing it smart, he goes for the big one. He does the Michael Chandler and goes for the big knockout instead of doing what is probably right in winning the fight. So he needs to do stuff like that. He needs to keep it up. He needs to keep it up purely a kickboxing match, because if not, it's all Gilbert's world. As soon as it touches the ground, it's almost a lock that Gilbert finishes. So I really, really don't believe Jorge is what he once was, if that was a thing really at all. And the way that he's talking, man, you know what I mean? I don't. That's not a man that's full of confidence. You know what I mean? That's just not a guy that speaks that he's going in there to win. He's I don't know I think he's like Owen. Let's look at them. So pardon me, my notes. He's lost his last 3 in a row by pretty devastating knockout. One of them at the very least, and he hasn't won in a few years now. Yeah, I don't see that ending well. I'm gonna predict that Gilbert wins that fight. Just everything on paper just speaks to that. Unless Jorge gets a good bomb off, and I'm not saying he can't, but he's got to show up sharp, because the only thing you might have is that Gilbert's gas tank has been questioned before. But in a performance against like Hamzat, that was a war for 3 rounds, man, against a guy that's bigger than him, naturally, very bigger, much bigger than him. And he went all 3, so I think that dispels that. So I think Jorge's in a lot of trouble here. So good luck, Godspeed to you, dude. I hope that you find it in there. And last but not least, Izzy versus Alex. Bro, I honestly can't imagine being in Izzy's position. I really can't. 3, I know what it's done. I know what it's like to be down 0-3. Ha ha. Anyway, I just don't. I can't imagine losing to the same guy three times and then doing it again, and then it's crazy. It really is. It's so nuts. And a lot of those matches, he got knocked out cold twice. He only got knocked out cold, and then he got standing knocked out. To go 3-0 against anybody, that's diminishing. And he says in the interviews, he's like, I don't keep score. I settle them. And I just think that's funny because, brother, you're down 3-0. Feel me? You know what I mean? You're down 3-0. So even if you win, it's 3-1. So if we were even playing you lost best of 2 of 3 and you lost best of 3 of 5, out the gate. This is just a gimme, So I just thought that funny. That was a funny comment because no, you know what I mean? That's not how that works. It's not settled. The math isn't mathing there, brother. Maybe it's different on the other side of the planet, but 3-1 isn't evening the score or settling the score. You're still down 3-1. But moving on. In that regard, Izzy was winning 2 of those fights at the very least, pretty emphatically up until the last point, until the finish happened. I think that it's going to be generally more of the same. I think that technically, Izzy is just a better overall striker than Alex is. If cleaner, just at least cleaner, Alex just has a nuke in his left hand, and he knows where to put it. And he's also 228,000 pounds on fight night. So the guy is basically a heavyweight in there, and he's a tank. He's the guy in your RPG that you just send out there to just get molly-whopped while you shoot arrows from afar. You know what I mean? That's what he is. He just takes damage and he finds the opening, and then once he finds it, he lands the nuke. And he's done that to you twice now. And I don't know. Once is a fluke, twice is not a fluke. He knows where to put that thing. And Chris Curtis said it. He said, he said that the best, and I think this is actually a very good quote. Your boogeyman has a name, has a face. It's a person. You know who it is. It's not an imaginary thing. It's somebody that exists and is tangible, and you get to look at them every day. And the psychology of being knocked out twice by the same guy in 2 different sports, that's tough, man. That's tough. So I can't imagine kind of dealing with that. That's that's going to play a factor into how he walks in. Now, Izzy is always known for his confidence and his swagger. He needs to go in there for the finish this time. He can't point fight. It can't be that. You need to make this emphatic. If you get a decision win, man, you know what I mean? It'll be 3-1, but people will be like, yeah, dude, whatever. So you need a finish here as far as court of public opinion. Now, I know you don't care about that, but I don't know. And to your credit, You know what I mean? People are like, why even do it? The 3-1 thing. So if I backtrack and I defend him, I settle scores. I'll tell you this much. Going back to what I said earlier about the negotiating table thing about, when all of our contracts are up, we go to the negotiating table and settle what we deserve or see if we can negotiate, pardon me, what we deserve as far as our performance goes. I'll tell you this much. 3-1 sounds a lot better than 0-4. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? 1-3 sounds a hell of a lot better than 0-4. I just gotta tell you, man. It's one thing to win 1-3 and then you can get made fun of, but to get swept in 2 different sports by the same guy, that's tough. That's gonna follow you forever, man. So I really don't think that we're going to see a lot of wrestling from Izzy. Here's why. Alex is too damn big. And, I know that people say size doesn't it matters in there, man. And, if he stuffs one of those takedowns, your arms are going to get heavy. And that's the thing. We might see some, but I don't think we're going to see much different stuff. He's going to go in for the kill. I think that he should be a little bit more aggressive. I'm talking about Izzy when we first met him. You're going to kill people. Be a sniper. You know that you can hurt him. So I think that's time that he does that. Alex is going to do the same thing. He's going to stalk him down. He's going to kick him, and then he's going to throw that big old left-hand nuke and see if it lands. I'm just going to go with the odds here. I'm going to go with Alex. I just think that some people have your number, man. Some people just have your number. They just know your tricks, and they know what you're going to do, and they know how to beat you. And this guy's been doing it for near a decade to you. So that's just it. That's how I feel about that. I don't see. I'm not saying that Izzy can't win, because obviously he showed in his last fight that he's very confident and can't hurt Alex. But when that doesn't work, that first one, when you can't put him away, we see a different side of him, and he needs to fight. That's the last thing I'm going to leave that with, is that he needs to fight. This isn't a show. This isn't a martial arts demonstration. I know the hand signs too, dude. I can do that all day, all that too. I can do it too. But at the end of the day, man, you need to fight, and you like to point fight. You like to play with the kicks, and that's fine for certain people, but this style of this fight, this man is not a person you can do that to. And you're going to, and unless you learn to find that dog that a lot of other people on this card have, that Kelvin Gastelum pulled out of you that one time, because it's there. You just don't like pulling it out, and you need to, especially against this guy. Because if you just sit there and just try and point fight with him, he's gonna find that nuke again. He's gonna put it right back on your chin like he did twice before. He's already done it twice, man. He knows how to do it. So that's gonna be an interesting fight. Should Izzy lose? I don't know. I don't know what's next for him. Maybe he retires. Maybe he takes another top 5 fight, tries to get back in the game. I don't really know. But if Alex loses, I don't think that matters. I think he'll be around for a little longer. We'll get another fight with him at least once. So, all right. That was my breakdown of the card, at least of the main card and of a few of the prelim matchups that we had this coming Saturday, tomorrow, in a little over 24 hours, East Coast time. Just to sum up here, going forward, we're just going to be experimenting with all different types of stuff here. This is called the Last Laugh podcast. After obviously the shtick, Jay the Joker Perrin, but a lot of different things we're going to cover on here, from technical breakdowns to obviously previewing cards and all different types of things. So it'll be MMA, it'll be pop culture stuff, it'll be whatever you want it to be. But for now, we're going to be focused on this. I'm very excited for this fight card, pardon me, and seeing all of these matchups. Really, the more you look at this fight card, the better it gets, really, the more that you know about the sport. And it's very, very exciting. The UFC's done a very, very, very good job of really putting together great matchups on cards lately, especially in the last few events they've had. A lot of big implications for all of the fighters. I wish all of them luck, and I'm very excited to watch it tomorrow. And I hope that everybody comes out all right, So that's it from me today. Signing off. Jay the Joker Parent here. This is the Last Laugh podcast. I'll hit you up next week, next Friday, another episode. We'll go over the card, and I'll see you then. All right. Thanks, guys.